In the world of awkward acronyms, AUKUS and the Quad have been two that require a little bit more understanding. AUKUS is the Australia, UK, US trilateral defense agreement, and the Quad, as its name implies, is an agreement between four countries, the United States, Australia, Japan, and India, which started out as a quadrilateral security dialogue, but now has been elevated to a leaders level and is just referred to as its nickname, the Quad. Both of these groupings, if you will, are in effect similar in that they are strategies for this region. They are strategies for the Indo-Pacific. But at the same time, the countries that are involved in these two groupings are clear to make a distinction between them. On the one hand, the AUKUS agreement is entirely about defense and security. This is probably best known in the public's eye for the agreement of the United States, for only the second time in its history, to share its nuclear propulsion technology in its submarines with another country. The first time was with the United Kingdom. And the fact that the United States and the United Kingdom are now working together to share that technology with Australia and thus enhance or upgrade Australia's submarine capabilities is a big deal in the region. And so AUKUS is that defense agreement. There is a second pillar to AUKUS that isn't talked about as much, that is probably more important, and that is just the broader defense industry technology cooperation between these three closely allied countries that will enable them to move forward on quantum and AI and a whole bunch of other technologies in that defense realm. But at its core, AUKUS is about strengthening the alliance between the United States and the Australia, and that trilateral cooperation on security issues between the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. The Quad, on the other hand, began as a quadrilateral security dialogue. It started back in response to what was called the Boxing Day tsunami, where there was coordination for the first time. For the longest time, India was not part of this network of United States alliances in the region, and technically it still isn't. India had long been a leader in the non-aligned movement, and any cooperation on defense or security areas was considered to be something that was too sensitive by half. Over the last 15 years, and in particular over the last 5 years, that has changed. There began to be low-level, working-level meetings of coordination in the Quad. There was a brief hiatus for the period of time, but really for the last 5 years, India, the United States, Japan, and Australia have been cooperating together in this fora. Once the Quad was elevated to a leaders level meeting in 2020, 2021, depending on how you count it, virtual or in person, at that point, they laid out a much broader kind of agenda of doing good in the region, focusing on climate change, pandemic response, responding to cyber attacks and others, infrastructure in the region, etc. More recently, a very specific initiative on maritime domain awareness. And they're at lengths to say this is not a defense treaty. This is not an alliance, because the United States has a treaty alliance with Japan, has a treaty alliance with Australia, and those three countries already work together very closely on a trilateral basis. By adding India, and they've also changed the focus, and their target audience is this region, the Indo-Pacific, the countries in the South Pacific, the countries in Southeast Asia, and they want to make it clear that the countries in the Indo-Pacific have choices and that the Quad working together is a really powerful grouping.